Today we're going to talk about building a koi pond in stages. So the question comes from a D Palmer 146 on Facebook, and this is a fantastic question because I think like this sometimes for people, because I know everyone wants a big, awesome koi pond. They want more, they want all the fancy stuff, and when it comes down to it, sometimes we don't have the budget to kick it off right from the get-go. And in fact, a pond that I built in the front of my house, I did in stages, in actually 3 or 4 phases. So I think this is a great question, and I really try and help people with this. So his specific question is about koi ponds. So I'm gonna kind of stay in that area, and then you can gather if you wanna do a hybrid pond or a water garden, you can kind of come in behind that. But he's talking about a skimmer filter, settlement filter, bottom drains, etc., and so forth. So D Palmer 146, I'm gonna tell you the most important thing is the shell of the pond. How are you gonna do it? What's the biggest possible pond you can make? If it's gonna be a koi pond, then in fact, you gotta get that bottom drain in there. You're probably, if you're thinking koi pond, dedicated koi pond, we need to start with that bottom drain. You can't build the shell and then come in and put the bottom drain back later. It's just too hard to do. So there's a couple options. If you wanna get really, really basic, you dig the shape, you install the bottom drain, you run the plumbing out, you come up in the air with it, maybe even put a cap on it, and then you basically have that plumbing circuit underground, and we're not even using it yet. You have the body of the pond. Maybe if you're gonna put an air drain, you can inject air into the bottom of the pond and go from there. I'm gonna pause right there because I wanna tell you, I know a lot of koi crazy people, a lot of super freak koi people that have literally a show pool on their back porch, or several of them, I might add, those blue collapsible pools, and they're set up on their backyard, minimal filtration, and just the perfect amount of fish, just the perfect amount of water changes, the perfect amount of aeration, and they're testing the water. They're very active hobbyists, and they do a very good job at having a lot of koi, and it doesn't cost them a lot to house a lot of different fish. You see what I'm saying? So with that mentality, I mean, you can put the hole in the ground, put the shell in, and do what you're gonna do, have the bottom drain circuit prepared for plumbing, and then you can have fish in there. I don't recommend it going that way. I want you to get some filtration and circulation in there, but in that very basic aspect, we have the shell that we want and the bottom drain installed. Now moving on from there, if you can put a skimmer on there, it can come on later. A lot of times we're putting on skimmers after the fact on a pond, but once we do that, you might do it in phases. Skimmer would probably be really important to me because you can put the skimmer on the pond and still vacuum the bottom of the pond, right? Get the skimmer, run it around to a waterfall, and if you don't have the money to do all the fancy filtration on the life support on the side, you can put the waterfall, and hopefully it's a waterfall filter, so you can get some basic filtration going in there. See what I'm saying? Aeration, skimming, basic waterfall filtration, and you can run your plumbing over to your future life support station, and then you can just tackle it piece by piece. It's gonna be easy to start the system with a submersible pump, so you can have the submersible pump in the skimmer, and then you can dissect the plumbing later and use an external pump, and then you can add a biofilter, and then you can add a UV filter, and then you can add, all these different things. Now, the settlement chamber is really important because that's gonna tie to your bottom drain circuit. And oftentimes I find people can afford kind of this whole package, but they can't afford that bottom drain circuit because you're looking at least a couple $1,000 to get that bottom drain installed into a separation chamber. It's probably gonna cost you a lot extra labor and at least a couple $1,000 in materials and so forth. So sometimes that's a deal breaker on this full package, you feel me? So you can get this package running, you can vacuum the bottom of the pond for the time being, and then you work up to get that settlement tank put in. There's been a couple cases where I have built a bottom drain to a skimmer, which I don't recommend. I do not like doing. In fact, I haven't done one that way in probably 5 years. But the bottom drain would come out into a skimmer, and then we would run their whole system. Now, because I love fish, because I love my clients, and I know that they're gonna expand in the future, I ran that bottom drain circuit out past the edge of the pond and swept it sideways into the skimmer. Now, if I wanted to be fast and make more money and be quicker, I would run that pipe right into the face of the skimmer underneath the pond. It's the quickest, fastest, cheapest way to do it. But me knowing my clients and how they want to expand, I run that pipe outside the pond, sweep it into the skimmer, and guess what? We have the ability to install a separation tank later on in the future without tearing the pond apart. So if you're gonna go into the skimmer, which I don't recommend that you do, if you're gonna go into the skimmer, then you would at least run it outside so you can graduate to that separation tank in the future. So, doing your pond in stages is very much a doable thing. I'll tell you about the one that I did at my place. I built a big pond on this one side, 20 by 30, had a gazebo over here, had a little waterfall, and I wanted this long extension, this 50-foot extension. I wanted it really bad, but it was just not the right time. And several years later, I built this extension, brought it up to the gazebo. I was prepared to do the bridge coming across, and then at the right time, I drained my original pond down, broke down the barriers, made a seam, connected it together, and then it became one pond. I took this pond water, sent it over here, took this pond water, sent it over there, so we could have good cross factor here, good skimming, good waterfall filters. And then I even went to a third phase, and the waterfall that was back over here, I extended it back behind the gazebo, and then had it wrap around the gazebo and had waterfalls coming this side and this side. And that was the third phase. So you can absolutely do the pond in stages, and it's gonna take some planning so you can get those logistics just right and take those steps, really think it through. Before I move on to the question of the day, I want you to see our Patriotic Helix stickers that we had made for Memorial Day. I still have a pile of them left, and I gave away a lot of them. But if you want one, this is what I'm gonna ask you to do. Send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll put one in the mail to you. I'm gonna leave my our mailing address. I'm gonna leave it right here in the description of the video below, so you can send me the self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll gladly send you one, and hopefully you'll put it proud somewhere on your skateboard, maybe on your truck or something like that fun. Put it on your computer like I did here. Yes. Anyways, just wear it proud somewhere. Okay, let's get on to the question of the day. I wanna know, all you weekend warriors, all you do-it-yourselfers, I wanna know, how long did it take to build your pond? Put it in the comments down here on the bottom, and if you want me to answer your question right here on the show, I'll do my very best. If you just put hashtag #AskThePondDigger and you blast it on the social media platforms, I'll look for it, I'll track it down. Until next time, I'm Eric Triplett the Pond Digger. Thanks for watching.